Okay, so we're Tuesday noon, ready for power practice. I don't practice power yoga really because I find connection with the breath too important, but this is more a practice where we work a little bit uh, deeper and we hold the poses a little bit longer. So we're just gonna arrive here and we're gonna arrive in a standing position. So place your feet so that you're comfortable. So for some people that will mean a little bit wider than the hips. For some people, maybe the big toes are touching. So it really depends what does feel comfortable, and take the time to find your comfort. Maybe you can shift from one foot to the other to make sure that you are gonna find that stability, the roots, and then come to a kind of stillness. Then lift your kneecaps, activate the quads. So don't exaggerate those movements. We just want to feel the support of our muscles for just a moment so that we can align the bones. So when the bones are aligned from bottom to top, the muscles are just wrapping around and holding us up, but they're not really actively working. So the core is active. And for a moment, just place your hands on your tailbone and maybe push the tailbone a little bit under and then lift it up again. So that little tilt in the hips, just to find where is your center. So most probably if you lift it up, your lower back is going to curve a little bit, and that's maybe too much pressure. But if you bring it too much down, then it's very well possible that so your lower back is going to flatten and then automatically your shoulders are going to be forward. So I'm exaggerating the move a little bit. So finding where is a comfortable place for you, and then bring the arms alongside again. And then take your breath in and lift the breastbone. So you want to lift it up. This is going to roll the shoulders slightly back, and then the shoulder blades are going down. It's as if they're really wrapping up to the lower ribs. So imagine the shoulder blades have two triangles. The point of the triangle is down. So imagine they're really like scooping onto the lower ribs. So that's going to bring the shoulder blades a little bit more down. Don't push the shoulder blades together. So that's not what we're doing here, because that's working a lot of muscles. So we really want to keep that width between the external shoulders and then going back. And then inhale. Imagine you can lengthen your neck. So from so the whole cervical spine, which starts where there's this one vertebrae popping out, so all the way up. If you need to feel it a bit more, you can place your hands on where skull and cervical spine touch, and then lift it up a bit. So pulling on your head to the top, maybe your chin is going to drop slightly forward. So it's not a bend in the neck, it's really creating space in the cervical spine. And then take a breath here. And as you exhale, feel the grounding of the feet. As you inhale from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. So you might feel that you're suddenly lengthening a little bit. But don't pretend to lengthen by bringing the shoulders up. So there's habits that we have, unconscious. So yoga too, it's one of those things is observing those habits and then deciding whether we need to change them or not. Whether we want to change them and whether we can change them, that's the work. In your next exhale, turn your head towards the right without moving anything in your body. So really stretch out, looking towards the right. And exhaling back to center. Inhaling in the center, exhaling to the left. Stay here for 2 breaths. And then coming back to center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, center. Exhale, roll your head towards the right. And then back to center. So you can do that. Inhaling to the left. Exhaling to center. So a few times. If it's comfortable for you to make a bigger roll, like a 360 degree, you go for it. Just watch out that you can control the weight of your head. So you don't want to have your head just suddenly fall back. It's heavy. So that's going to compress too many things. If we're young and healthy, that's all okay. As we get older, even if we're healthy, our vertebra, the discs, everything is getting a little bit of wear and tear. And then coming back to center and inhale. Lift your shoulders up to your ears and really press them up. Press them up, press them up. Observe what you feel. Are you more rounding the spine? See if you can keep the spine long, the shoulders more or less wide. So don't bring the shoulders forward. And then release and observe. And now exhale, pull the arms down, push the shoulders down. So creating some space in the neck. The trapezius muscles are working here. And then release. And now this time, without rounding the whole spine and the whole body, just move your shoulders forward. Your palms can turn out. So really opening the upper back. And then release. And then turning back. This time shoulder blades come together, opening. And then coming back to your mountain pose. We're gonna inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale again, bring those shoulder blades down. Interlace your hands, turn the palms up. Lift the shoulders up for a moment and then bring the shoulder blades down. Inhale, long body. So your feet are solidly planted onto the floor. Your whole body is active. And then exhale, start to rotate towards the right. So your hips remain facing the front as much as possible. So we could go much further, but that's not very good for the knees. So you want to keep the knees, the hips, and the feet aligned, and then just turn to the right. So open that right armpit, roll that right shoulder back, lift your arms a little bit higher, and then coming back. So we're trying to reach a twist in the middle spine here, in thoracic spine. So inhaling, lengthening, shoulders down, exhaling towards the left. So your feet, it's possible that you feel that you have to really ground your feet a little bit more to be able to stay here. You can press your right hip a little bit more to the back to really stay in position, and then opening up and then coming back and release. Shake it out. So let's roll the shoulders a few times and then changing direction. And really make those big circles as if you were swimming a butterfly. You can make your arms long, or you can just have bent elbows, whatever feels right. Separate your feet and then turn towards the right side, lifting the left heel. Relax your arms and now just flop from one side to the other. So releasing. So don't think too much. Once you got the movement, you can just stop and then coming back to center. Again, place your feet where they're comfortable. If you're really wide, I would suggest you come as wide as your hips. Place your hands onto your hips and then bend your knees. So your knees can pass your toes, that's okay. Make sure your heels are still touching the floor, and then bring the weight into the left leg, left the right knee. So lots of work into the left leg, and start to make circles with your right ankle. And then the other side, point and flex a few times, and then place your right foot back down. Switching sides, so keep your right knee bent, lift your left knee at the height of your hip, and then circles with your ankle. We're combining two things, warming up the legs and releasing some tension in the ankle joint. And then pointing and flexing, and then coming back and then press into your legs and come back up. Inhale, reach the arms up, grab the right wrist with your left hand, press your feet down, shoulder blades down, and then open up towards the left. So roll that right armpit open, as if you were rolling your shoulder back. Your shoulder blade is coming even more down, creating that space on the right side. If you want to feel more, you can really pull onto your arm, but you can also start to gently press your right hip a little bit more to the right. So becoming more like a banana. And then slowly coming back up and release. Inhale, both arms up. Grab the left wrist with the right hand, solidly planted into the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, shoulder blades down. Inhale, lengthen, and then as you exhale, start by just moving over to the right, opening the left side of the body, opening the armpit. Inhale, and again, if you want to go a little bit further, move your hips over towards the left. So creating more opening from the waist up to the fingers on the left side. Strong legs. Opening the armpit. And then inhale, coming back up and release. Interlace your hands in the back, roll the shoulders back. This time shoulder blades are consciously pressing against each other. Your elbows are still bent. And see if you can bring the elbows closer to each other. So palms are going to first touch and then bring the elbows a little bit closer. So we're just doing this for the moment. Elbows closer. Activating the muscles that bring the shoulder blades together, the deltoids. And then start to lengthen your arms, but keep that same distance between your shoulder blades. So pulling the hands down, opening the chest. Don't compensate with your head, so keep the neck in line with your spine. Pull your arms down. And then if you have some more flexibility into the shoulders with straight arms, you can start to lift your arms a little bit more up. Now, here you're going to watch out that your floating ribs, so your lowest ribs in the front are not going to start pulling forward or your belly, so keeping the whole body nice and stable. And then release and shake it out. So open and close maybe your elbows a few times and then place your hands onto your elbows. So find again that comfortable position with your feet and then start to bring the right elbow to the left to the right, so making circles just to loosen up. So no need to go to the extreme here, just loosening up a little bit in the upper back, the deltoids that we just worked, and then changing direction as if we were swimming a very artistic back swim, and then coming back to center and readjust for your mountain pose. Bring the hands onto the hips, separate the feet a little bit wider, so we're going to go into a balance with the hip opener. So bend your knees slightly, activate your bum, feel the core active. If your core is not active here, you're going to place so much strain onto your legs, plus your lower back is not going to be very happy. Bring the weight into the left leg, lift the right knee, open up the knee, open up the hip, and place above the ankle, above your knee. So if you need a wall here, place your fingertips against the wall, and then start to bend your supporting leg. Inhale, exhale. Flex your right foot. So the foot that's lifted is flexed to protect your knee. If you want to go further, from the hip crease, start to move your upper body forward. So up, forward, and down. You might feel a little bit more work happening into the hip. If you want to go further, you can place the eye of the elbow, of the right elbow, around the right knee. So as if you're wrapping your right knee into your arm. And then depending how low you are, we're going to do the same with the left elbow, inside elbow, around the right foot, and then maybe you can interlace your hands. Focus on a point on the floor. Make sure this is okay for you where you are. And you can know that by your breath. If your breath stops, you're probably going a little bit too far. Maybe you can bend your knee a little bit more. Maybe not. And then release your hands and very slowly coming all the way up and place the foot down and release. And I always like to just shift from one leg to the other when I'm doing this. And then I can find my stability again to go to the other side. So hands onto the hips, bending the knees slightly, bring the weight to the right leg or the other leg, lifting the left, and then opening up, flexing the foot. So first of all, this is my foundation. So if my foundation is not solid, I'm gonna fall out. It's like a house, you build a weak foundation, the house is gonna crumble. Inhale, go a little bit lower. You can lower your hands into your hip crease if you want to start moving forward. And then again, if you want to wrap your arms around your lower leg, so make sure that the inside of the elbow comes around your foot, around your knee, and then interlace your hands. Neck is part of the spine, so keep it long. Maybe bend a little bit more. Feels so good. And very slowly press into that leg and come all the way up. And maybe shake it out a little bit. So separate your feet wider than your hips, hands onto the hips. We're just going to loosen a bit here. So start to make circles with your hips. Keep your feet very light so that your knees are not blocked between your feet and your hips. So making circles going forward and backwards, and then changing direction. And then coming back to center. So really holding onto the hip bones with your hands. We're gonna press the thumbs down and so the tailbone is gonna drop. And then press with your fingers onto your hip bone so that the reverse is happening. The pubic bone goes down and the tailbone comes up. And then do this a few times just to move in the lower back. So just gently approaching the lower back. We don't want to necessarily stretch out the muscles in the back because they're holding us up, but we want to keep them healthy. So this is a very gentle move, can be done on the floor as well. It's very good when you have lower back issues. So however, if you're lying down on the floor, you really want to see what feels actually good. It's possible that you just lift the pubic bone and then come back to neutral and just do that movement or the reverse. And then let's release. So come to the front of the mat. Take a breath in, find your mountain pose. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. So maybe the first forward fold of the day. So keep your knees bent if necessary. Drop your head, let your spine go, let your upper body be heavy. If your hands are touching the floor, turn the palms up. We have a tendency to press into the floor when the fingers are down, so we want to turn the palms up, release. Inhale, exhale. So no pain in the lower back here. If we're stretching, it's the back of our legs. And then for a moment, bring your hands onto your hips. So with that sensation of the hands on the hips, as you exhale, see if you can guide your releasing exhale towards your hip to maybe release a little bit more. And then let go of your hands again. So you really want to find release into the hips. Bring the fingertips onto the floor, so maybe you can stretch out your legs a little bit. And then walk your hands towards the left. So keep your hips in the center,
We just want to walk the hands towards the left. So if you don't touch the floor, you can grab your left leg with your right hand. We're going to place the left hand on the lower back, palm down, and then see if you can lengthen your spine. So most probably your head is going to come up a little bit higher. You don't want to bring your body to the left, so the body stays forward. We're really going to go and find that rotation, especially in the upper spine. So your left shoulder is moving up and back. Maybe you feel it in your belly. Inhale. Your head is following the movement, possibly. And then coming back to center. Release. Now let's go to the other side. So place your hands so that your legs can be more or less straight. So they don't need to be super stretched, but a little bit more straight. So it's possible that your hand is on your thigh. That's fine. Right hand onto the lower back, palm down. Lengthen your spine. So redirect your upper body forward and then start rotating up towards the right. So the longer your spine, the more space you're going to find. And then exhale, coming back. Place your hands down, and this time bring your right leg back, your left leg back, and come onto all fours. So we're going to try to find a little bit of release for the legs before we start doing anything more crazy with the legs. So let's come onto a plank onto our knees. Press your hands down. Strong arms, don't sink into your shoulders. Take your breath in, and for a moment, start to release your hips. So you have to do that very consciously. You don't want to suddenly drop your hips. That's going to be too much compression in the lower back. So we're just exploring here. Make sure your shoulders are rolling back. Your core is still, I wouldn't say active, but it's on standby. So it's still active. You're controlling with your core. And you know that if you need to lift up because you've gone a bit too far, it's your core that's going to do all the work. So see if you can go a little bit lower. Roll the shoulders back. Roll the shoulders back. So if you can go into a high Cobra, this is not very challenging, but for most people, a high Cobra is very, very challenging. So no straining the lower back, absolutely not. And when you're ready to come up, press into your hands, activate the core. So really see if you can find that connection between the core and lifting your body. And then exhale, press yourself back. Walk your hands back. So we're coming into a child's pose. We're in a child's pose on our heels, the knees are together. Cross your arms so that you can place your forehead on something higher than the floor. It's okay if your spine is rounded. We're going to take a deep breath in into our back ribs. And then exhale, maybe sink a little bit deeper. Inhale. Exhale. And then slowly coming back to center. So on tabletop position, we're just going to start to make little circles with the hips. So press your hips back and into the side. Again, work with your core here. Observe what happens. Those are movements that are not very complicated, but we just, if I would say, just make circles with your hips. Can you come and observe what is actually happening in your body? And again, this might be a day where you don't want to analyze too much, where you just want to focus on your breath, or where you want to focus on your little toe. It doesn't matter, like just pick one or two. Stay open for what sensations are coming up. And then coming back to center. And we're just going to do 4 cat and cows. So go at your own rhythm. Do what you need. Inhaling, lifting the tailbone, belly button down, rolling the shoulders back, and look forward. So really imagine your vertebrae moving like a domino game, one after the other, following, the crown of the head being the last one. So 2 more, so at your own rhythm, the rhythm of your breath, and see if you can follow your breath. And then back to neutral. So walk your hands to the front, tuck your toes, press your hands down, and for a moment lengthen your spine. So we want to really feel what it's going to feel in downward dog with that long neutral spine. So observe, am I sinking into my belly, or can I really pull my hips back? So if you feel you're sinking into your belly, maybe by bringing the tailbone a bit closer towards your heel, it's gonna help. So your hands are solidly planted into the floor, and then bring the eye of the elbows towards the sky. So at least have that intention. Keep on pressing the thumb and the index into the floor, widening the shoulders, widening the upper back. And then very slowly come to the front, tuck your toes and start to lift into a downward dog. Keeping the knees bent for now. Press into your hands, bring your head in between your arms. So same thing. Someone is pulling at your hips. Roll the shoulders wide. Eye of the elbows to the sky. Thumb and index into the floor. Knees are still bent. Inhale. And as you start to lengthen your leg, observe what happens with your pubic bone belly button distance. So if there is no change as you bring your heels towards the floor and you lengthen your legs, then everything is fine. If you lengthen your legs and you feel that your pubic bone comes closer towards your belly button, then you're gonna keep your legs bent for downward dog. And now walk your dog a few times. And again, bend your knees, lift your hips, find that length in the spine. And exhale, bring the heels towards the floor. We're gonna inhale, lift the right leg up. Lift it as high as you can. Flex your foot, press into your hands. Really, really lifting, lots of strength here. And then bring the right foot down. Lift the left leg up. Press into your hands. Maybe your right heel is going to come a little bit closer towards the floor. And then bring it down. And then now bend your right knee and bring the right knee towards the nose. Move forward and then bring your right foot in between your hands. Drop your left knee down. So your back knee is behind your hips. Your front knee is on top of your heel. You're going to keep your left hand onto the floor or on a block. So it depends. If the floor is really far away, then we totally sink inside of our right leg, which we don't necessarily want to do. So you can come onto your fist, it's already a little bit higher, or on a block or a book. Reach your right arm forward. Find that length into your spine. Maybe even reach it up so you can, from your hips all the way to your fingertips. And then reach it even higher. And as you come high up to the sky, turn the palm out. Press into your supporting arm. Your right knee staying pointing towards your right toes. And then from your tailbone, see if you can open up. So rotate, opening up. One more breath here. And then exhale. Bring your arm on the inside of your right foot. Just move your right foot a little bit out. Both hands on the floor, so wrists underneath the shoulders. Look forward as if you were pulling your mat back. Your chest is coming forward. And if you want, you can go a little bit deeper. So bending the elbows, elbows are going back. So don't open the elbows to the side. Elbows are going back, chest continues to reach forward. If you're okay, you can bring the forearms down. Keep the spine long here. And then place both your hands back on the floor. Walk your foot back to the center, right hand on the outside. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. And come back into your downward dog. And maybe walk your dog a few times, dance your dog, whatever you need to do. Inhale, exhale, long spine. Inhale, roll the shoulders out. Bend your left knee, bring your left knee towards your nose. So if you need to do this move a little bit closer a little bit faster to be able to bring your left foot between your hands, you go for it. If your foot doesn't come all the way to your hands, grab your ankle and move it forward like that. Then drop your right knee. So stay right wrist, right shoulder, reach your left arm forward to start, already to start to find a little bit relaxation in the hips. So we are opening the groin area and then reach so that you're in a straight line from your hips towards your fingertips and then reach up, turn the palm and start to open up towards the left. So your left shoulder opens up, you press into your supporting arm. You can look up if you want to. Your left knee points towards your left toes. So long spine. And then slowly coming back, bring the left hand next to the right. Open your left foot a little bit. Both hands solidly planted onto the floor. Roll the shoulders back. Reach your heart forward. So finding that length into your spine, opening the chest. And if you want to go deeper, bending the elbows, maybe placing the elbows onto the floor. Big stretch in the thighs, especially the left thigh here in the groin area of the right thigh. And then slowly coming back up, bring the left foot more back to the center, tuck your back toes and come into your downward facing dog. So again, do what you need to do here. Maybe you need a child's pose. Inhale, exhale. So really starting to focus, if your legs are straight, starting to focus on bring the tailbone a little bit more towards the heels, pressing the heels down. Taking another deep breath in. And then lift your right leg up again. Bend your right knee and open your hips towards the right. So the right hip comes on top of the left. And we're opening up. Equal weight to both your arms. Maybe your left heel is going to touch the floor. It's a different position, so the hip finds different ways to move. And then lift your leg up again. And then bring the right foot down. Lift your left leg up, opening the hips, so bending the knee, opening up, press into your hands, long upper body. Maybe the right heel is touching down. So you might feel a stretch into the sole of your right foot. It's good, it's the fascia that's stretching. It's rare that we get those stretches, so unless we really look for it. And it's lengthen the leg and then bring it down. And bring your knees down. And let's sit back. So let's sit on our heels, sitting straight. Close your eyes for a moment. Let the blood from your head come back. So inversions are very healthy for us, but like everything in moderation. So downward facing dog is one of the better poses in yoga. It works a lot of muscles, there's a lot of stretching, and it's an inversion. And then let's come onto our knees, tuck our toes,
Place your hands at the lowest part of your spine, your fingers down, roll the shoulders back. And again, we're starting our back bend from the top of our spine. So you want to keep that space in the lower back as long as possible. No pain, no strain in the lower back. So first of all, the heels of the hands, see if you can push your tailbone down a little bit. That's already going to bring a little bit of a back bend, but we're creating a bit more space in the lower back. Roll the shoulders back, elbows back. Inhale, open the chest, and then slowly, consciously, from your upper back, start to go backwards. You have to be able to continue breathing. If you stop breathing, most probably you're going too far. Whether you're going too far physically or emotionally, it's a heart opener. So for some people, this really creates fear, emotions coming up. So I just want you to be aware. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but a back bend has this reputation. So continue to breathe. You can look forward or you can look to the sky. Press your hips forward so the hips and the knees remain in line. You might feel a nice stretch in the quadriceps here. And then slowly coming back. Untuck the toes, move slowly. And we're just going to sit back onto our heels for a moment. So we want to make sure we don't move from a back bend to a forward bend immediately, especially as we get older. The discs between our vertebrae are not that youthful anymore. Okay, so from here, we just did a little bit of opening in the quads. We're going to continue. So place your right hand onto the floor, lean onto the right, and move your left heel a little bit more outside. And then place your left hand onto the floor, grab your ankle, and keep the knee and the foot in one line. And this time, reach your right leg forward. So if you feel you're falling too much onto the right side, take a blanket or something and place it under your right bum. Don't go too high, so just on the one side. Your left toes are really pointing back. Should be pretty straight here. And maybe this is enough for your quads. So see if you can bring both knees closer to each other. And then inhale, reach your arms up. So we're just going to stay here for 2-3 breaths. Your right leg is very active. Your toes are pointing up. Inhale, and first of all, we're going to fold forward. So grab wherever you can, roll the shoulders back. So maybe you grab your toes, maybe your ankle, maybe your tibia. And then inhale, pull on whatever you're holding so that you can lengthen your spine. So we're really going to reach the hip crease here. So this, for the quads, is not so much of a stretch because we're moving forward. Exhaling, moving forward. And then very slowly coming back up. Now we're going to go a little bit more into the quads. So you want to be heavy in your hips. We're going to place the hands in the back. Fingertips are pointing back. And then walk your hands back until a certain point. So press that left knee into the floor. Keep the right leg active. Eventually, maybe you can come to your forearms here. So there's no point in lifting the left knee because then you actually don't do anything. So observe for yourself what happens if you press that left knee down. Opening the quads here. If you would go all the way down to the floor, you would definitely feel it. And also open the groin area, which we just did. So what happens here, we're opening the quads, but we're also stretching the psoas, which is this big muscle in the back, through which the sciatic nerve passes. So if you have sciatic problem, this is a good movement to create a little bit of stretch into your psoas so that there's more space for the sciatic nerve. And then very gently, equal side. So you don't want to wiggle up. You want to go equal side. And then coming back. So place your right hand onto the floor. Grab your left ankle. And like without any torsion in the knee, bring your foot to the front and lengthen your left leg. So if you're sitting on something, take it away. Bend your right knee, lean over to the right, bend that knee and bring the left foot on the outside of your bum. So you're not sitting on your heel. And then if need be, put something under your left bum. So find some alignment here. Inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, wherever you're gonna reach. So the more space we have, the better we can reach the hip crease. So that's why we create that length first, and then we go and look for a forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale. You can also place your hands on the floor if that's more comfortable. Don't drop your head here. Keep your neck in line with your spine so you can really feel that lengthening of the spine from your tailbone all the way to the crown of your head. And then slowly walk your hands back. And this time place your hands in the back. So keep that right knee pressing down. And then maybe, again, come onto your forearms if it's accessible, but don't lift your knees. So maybe you can't go so far, and that's okay. We don't want to force anything here. We're working on big muscles. And then slowly, equally coming back up. And again, very carefully, we're gonna lift. So lean onto the left, the right foot, and lengthen out the legs. This time, open up the legs. Bring the fingertips to the back, behind your bum. Roll the shoulders back, feet are flexed. And then walk gently a little bit more forward. Again, from the hip crease. So if you're okay with your inner thighs here, don't overstretch. Inhale and maybe go a little bit more forward. You can place your hands on the floor, roll the shoulders back. If you can get a grip on the floor, hold the floor back, reach your heart forward. So this inner muscles of our thighs is what is restricting us in triangle pose most of the time. So as we do these stretches, and we'll do the triangle pose right after this. Hopefully you'll notice a little bit more space there, or ease, which is good. And then very slowly start to round your spine now. So drop your head. You can maybe place your forehands onto the floor, your forearms onto the floor. Take a few breaths here. Again, no strain, no pain in the lower back. Absolutely not. And see from this pose, am I holding somewhere? Maybe you're holding in your bum, maybe you're holding in your toes. Can I let go for a moment without hurting myself? So I don't mean to drop deeper. Most of the time we're holding one specific place in our body. So can I let go? Can I become conscious of that? And then letting go. And what happens? Maybe we discover yummy feelings. And then very slowly placing your hands back down and bringing the feet back together. We're gonna bend the knees and come back into our downward dog. So a little bit of movement here. So come back into your downward dog. Bring the right foot out and for a warrior two and reach the left foot forward. So place your feet for a warrior two and then windmill your arms up. So as I said, we're gonna explore our triangle. So arms are wide, legs are strong, shoulders and hips are in line for the moment. Push the outside of your back foot into the floor. Open your shoulders, but don't press the shoulder blades together. Inhale, And now reach your left arm forward. So this means that your right hip is gonna move back, your left hip is gonna kind of disappear. And observe. So we're still with our legs parallel to, with our arms parallel to the floor, our upper body straight. And then when you can't go any further, when the restriction is indeed the inner thigh. So again, don't overdo it here. Then we're gonna lower the left arm, reach the right arm up, and then eventually the upper part of our upper body is gonna move back. So we can really open and lengthen maybe a little bit more, reaching up. And an inhale, coming back up. Bend your front knee, lift your back heel, reach your arm up. Press your heel back. So stretch again into the groin area, into the quads. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Move into a flow, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So this time moving into a warrior two with the legs on the other side. Bring the right foot forward, the left foot perpendicular with the right, and then windmill your arms up. So I'm showing you my back. Reach your arms out, lengthen your front leg. And then reach towards the right. So left hip is gonna lift, right hip disappears. So first work with the legs, see where you're reaching. And then when you're at your maximum or almost, you can lift your left arm, lower the right, and then roll that whole left chest back. Press your hips a little bit more forward. Your left hip is gonna move back as well. Your right bum is gonna move forward. You can look at your left hand. And slowly coming back into your warrior two. Lift your back heel, pivot. Reach your arms up, stay here for 1 or 2 breaths, feeling that nice stretch. And then exhale, bring the hands down. And again, come into a plank, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, reverse push-up. Inhale, cobra, or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We are going to move into a pigeon pose. If you have knee problems, come onto your back. Otherwise, lift your left leg up and bring the left knee behind the left wrist. The left foot is as much as possible at a 90-degree angle. The tibia doesn't have to be parallel with the front of your mat. Eventually we'll get there, maybe in another life. So press your hands down and now walk your back leg back. Have a look, make sure that your toes, your heel, your knee, and your hip are in one line. Inhale, open up, and then exhale, start to walk forward. So you can reach your arms all the way up to the front, or you can bend your elbows and rest your forehead onto your forearms. Just make sure that there's not too much of a bend into your neck. So see where you're at. If you're falling over onto one side in your hips, place a blanket or a pillow there, something soft if possible. We're gonna stay here for 8 long breaths. So release, we have nothing else to do. See if you can concentrate on your breathing instead of on your thoughts. When you're done with your 8 breaths, walk your hands back, place your hands
On the floor, tuck your back toe, and then come back into downward facing dog. Walk your dog a little bit. If you want to do a vinyasa here, you're more than welcome. So you would go into a plank, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back into your downward dog. And then get ready for pigeon on the other side. So lifting the right leg up, bending the right knee, bringing the right knee behind the right wrist, and glide your back leg back. Always do a little check to make sure we're all in line. Open your chest and then gently start to walk your hands forward or making that pillow. And then releasing for 8 breaths. And then slowly again moving to your downward dog. Dance it out, move it out, whatever you need to do. And then coming onto your knees and move your legs to the front. We're going to open a little bit the front of the shoulders when we do a lot of pushing down. This part at the front gets very closed off. And when we start to stretch a little bit too much, it's not used to it. So place your hands behind you, fingers are pointing down, bend your knees. So we're going into a reverse tabletop. Roll the shoulders back. And then start to press into your hands, press into your feet and lift your hips up. So if this is not comfortable for your hands with the fingers pointing forward, find a place where it's more comfortable. If you have your fingers pointing forward, you're stretching in the triceps, the biceps, the pectoral, and those little tendons, muscles in the shoulders. And then slowly coming down. Bring the feet a little bit closer to your body. Knees together, hug your knees, round your spine, and then tuck your chin, rounding the spine. Deep breaths, creating space. And then release, bring the feet a little bit more to the front, place your hands underneath your thigh, and very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, you're gonna roll all the way down, bring the knees with us. So bring the knees at the above the hips and the heels at the height of the knees, the toes are pointing up. Open the arms. So we want to keep our knees and our hips in one line here. If you can test it out for now, you will feel it better. If you bring the knees in, you'll feel that your lower back is rounding, the lower back is coming to the floor. If you bring your knees forward, the lower back is curving a little bit more. So we want to stay neutral. Take a breath in, and then exhale, bring the knees over to the right. See if you can keep your left shoulder onto the floor. If your knees are not touching the floor, so this is getting to more relaxation, so put something under the knees, or you make a choice that you let go a little bit into the left shoulder. You can place your right hand on your left thigh just to give it a little bit more weight. You can look to the left if you want to. And then release your hand from your thigh if it was there. And then inhale, bring the legs back to the center. Exhale, knees into the chest. Just release for a moment. And then knees above the hips, Heels in line with the knees, open your arms, and then exhale, going to the left side. So again, finding that release, finding more or less a neutral spine here, placing the left hand on your right thigh, maybe looking towards the right. Deep breaths in and long breaths out. And slowly coming back to center. Bring the arms like halfway between your hips and a T, and then press your left foot out. Press, press, press. Keep it lifted. Press your right foot out. So active in the core. Take a breath in and then bring the heels down to the floor. Let's press into our elbows, press into our head. Roll the shoulders back and under, and then come down. So maybe you're a little bit too much onto your shoulder blades, so wiggle yourself out a little bit, but keep that opening into the chest. Take a breath in and a breath out. Releasing every tension in our bodies. So as we do our practice, we are building up tension, but healthy tension, and we're hopefully releasing not so healthy tension. Take as many deep breaths in and out as you need to, exhaling through the mouth to be able to let go a little bit more. You can stay here as long as you want. If you decide to come out, reconnect with your breath first, feeling the air coming in and going out. Then moving the toes and the fingers, the nose, maybe the ankles and the wrists, maybe the head from side to side, very gently, don't go too fast. Bring the legs back together. Take a breath in and inhale. Bring your arms overhead, stretch yourself out. Sorry. And then exhale, bring the knees into the chest. And then roll over to the right side. If that's comfortable for you, make a pillow with your right arm. Stay here for 1 or 2 more breaths. I have the bright sunshine right onto me, so it's very tempting to stay here. And place your left hand in front of your chest, lengthen the left leg, so you can use it as a weight and press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Keep your eyes closed, gently tuck your chin, bring your hands in front of your heart, whether palms on top of each other or palms together. May your thoughts be peaceful, your words kind and respectful, and may your heart always be filled with love. Thank you for sharing your practice, for being present. Namaste.